There is a debate that has run for centuries. On one side, free will, the idea that you are the author of your choices, that you could at any moment have done otherwise. On the other side, determinism, the idea that every event, including every thought and action, is the inevitable result of prior causes. That what feels like choice is simply the universe unfolding. It's a serious debate. Philosophers and scientists have wrestled with this question for a very long time. But non-duality isn't going to take a side, because non-duality notices something that both sides tend to overlook. Both arguments, free will and determinism, share exactly the same hidden assumption. They both place an individual me at the centre. Free will says I control my choices. Determinism says I am controlled by prior causes. One has the me in charge. The other has me as passenger. But in both cases, the me is simply assumed to be there. And that assumption is precisely what non-duality invites you to examine. Now, when this is pointed out, a reasonable objection arises. Isn't that just determinism? If there's no separate self making choices, doesn't everything just happen mechanically? It's a fair question, and it deserves a precise answer. In everyday discussions of determinism, there is often still an assumption that there is a person at the centre being acted upon by prior causes. Non-duality isn't saying the self is controlled, it's saying look carefully at whether that central entity can actually be found in direct experience. That's not determinism, that's something else entirely. So, what does direct experience actually show? If there is a separate self at the centre of experience, directing thoughts and decisions, what evidence of that can actually be found? Thoughts arise, but were they chosen? Before a thought appears, can you know what it will be? And if you couldn't predict it and didn't consciously produce it, in what sense did you think it? Decisions seem to arrive in much the same way. There is a weighing up of options, a sensing of what feels right, and then something tips. But is there a separate controller standing behind that process, pulling the levers? Or is there simply the process itself? This isn't an argument for passivity. Action still happens, choices are still made, responsibility doesn't disappear. But the question of whether a separate me is the ultimate author of it all, that question begins to look different when examined directly. Free will asks, do I control my life. Determinism asks, am I controlled by forces beyond me? Non-duality asks something prior to both. Who is the I these questions are referring to? And when that question is looked into carefully, not philosophically, but directly in experience, the original debate, free will versus determinism, doesn't get resolved. It may no longer seem to be asking the most fundamental question. Thanks for listening.